Hello, my name is Maya. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reading a Zuko and Katara essay that I found a few days ago when looking for one of my assignments for university. I was scrolling through my old files and oh my god, there it was. I forgot I wrote this. It's 14 pages long and I thought it would be fun to just go through and see what last year Maya, before she had met Dean and Cass, was on a Avatar bend and still loves Avatar, has an Appa stuffy, has other stuff you can't see, an Iroh pop figure. I made this shirt, which I'm very proud of. You can tell I made it because the writing's skewed, but it says Hello Zuko here. I watched it 2 times, the entire series, within like the span of like 3 months. So it was on a very big Avatar kick. I completely forgot I wrote this essay. The only people who read this essay are my best friends. And I believe this essay was a way for me to get out my frustration at the fact that I was such a big Zuko and Katara shipper. Still am. I'll die with that ship. I'll fucking die with it. And I needed to write why they should have gotten together. And I know this is a mess because I remember writing it in one sitting, not looking it over ever again, no editing. I just sat down and I let my feelings pour out. So let's just see what past Maya believed about Zuko and Katara and why they should get together. That's just what I'm going to be doing. So let's begin this beautiful essay, 14 pages. I was onto something here. Avatar: The Last Airbender is undoubtedly an amazing show, but no show is perfect, even those who reach almost perfection. It is true. One of the main downfalls to Avatar was the romantic relationships in the beginning of season 3. I hated the beginning of season 3. I hated the beach episode. Fight me. I hated the beach episode. I will die on this fucking hill. In this essay, I will not be addressing the beginning of season 3, but just know it made me give up on the show. Like, I almost stopped. It was very hard. Though the romantic relationships were a small part of a larger, more complex story and character arcs, they were still present, and every single one besides Sokka and Suki was super awkward and weird to watch. I'm not including the brief flings of Katara and Haru/Jet. I forgot about Haru, but Jet's my man. Jet is a fucking legend. Or Sokka's brief romance with Yue. Or Zuko's date in the Tales of Ba Sing Se, because they didn't make up much of the story. I'm talking about the overarching romances. The main ones are Aang, Katara, and Zuko and Mai. Though Aang and Katara are not my personal preference as a ship, I can admit that the ship was handled decently well. I found it awkward to watch, and the lack of romantic chemistry made me want them to have more of like a sibling relationship, or at least like a best friend relationship. And it felt quite forced at times in the show. I put 2 these, so it would be in the show with the show, forgetting about it for a few episodes, and then making a huge deal about it for 1 episode, and then forgetting about it again. I remember that. They did do that a lot. They were like, plot, side quest. Oh my god, we forgot. We're trying to make Aang and Katara a thing. Come on. And it was bad. It didn't offend me to the point where it actively ruined my experience, but I still feel like it was poorly handled and I wish the showrunners hadn't gone that direction. On the other hand, Zuko and Mai was a huge, in capital letters, problem for me. Yes, that's coming back now. I was unsure how to feel about Mai and Zuko dating at the beginning of season 3. Yes, they had cute scenes together, but the interactions felt wrong. What it comes down to is that their relationship was rushed and shouldn't have happened the way it did. I'm not saying that Zuko and Mai didn't need to date while he was in the Fire Nation. It was actually quite interesting to see Zuko almost get everything he wanted and then give it all up because it didn't feel right. Like he was trying to be something he wasn't. Shouldn't that go for Mai then? The thing is that even in the flashbacks, it didn't seem like Zuko was ever into Mai romantically. And I assumed when it was introduced to me in season 3, episode 1, that this was kind of Mai forcing Zuko to be in a relationship with her and Zuko going along with it because he thinks that's what he needs to do, which I think would have been a great plot point. When it turned out that they were actually in love, as the season went on, I started to feel like this wasn't Zuko or Mai. When Zuko left, I thought that it meant that he realized that the Fire Nation life, including Mai, was not what he wanted, because he had to become someone else to get it. Yeah, that would have been great. That's not what we got though. So can someone tell me why he went back to May at the end of the season? Question mark, question mark. And then in capitals, I said, oh wait, I know why. Because they changed May's character! Exclamation point. Yeah. Listen, I love the Murder Squad. The Murder Squad being Azula, my queen, Ty. She was irrelevant to me. Ty Lee, yeah. And May. Oops. Though May wasn't my favorite character out of the Murder Squad, she is still in my top 10 favorite characters in the show. Is she now? That's an interesting claim for me to make. Oh, I think I put her at number 8 when I originally watched the show. Like, I remember ranking. Jet was number 5, so really, what was my ranking? We get introduced to her in season 2, and she's bored and unfeeling. She is constantly trying to find excitement because being part of the rich family that she is in feels suffocating, boring. She watched unfeeling as her, in capitals, her baby brother gets kidnapped and doesn't care. She is so dissociated from feeling anything, she almost has psychopathic vibes. The fact that May, who spends all of season 2 seeking adrenaline by doing horrible things and still not feeling fulfilled because she's so unfeeling, wants to settle down with Zuko and become a princess is unbelievable. At least it was unbelievable to me at the time, and I'm starting to convince myself of that again. Wow, I'm making great arguments here. Good for me. It would have been more believable if she joined the Kyoshi Warriors with Ty Lee. I'm reaching here. What they did is change May's character with no warning to become this loving person who is in love with Zuko. Yes, she was shown to have a crush on Zuko in flashbacks, but that was when she was a child and feelings changed. I make a good point. I have no doubt in my mind that May would want to get with Zuko while he's at the Fire Nation, but the falling in love part seems so out of place. Yeah, I kind of wanted them to be like a fling and not endgame, so I was mad that they were endgame. Especially because it wasn't set up well. Once Zuko left the show, once Zuko left the Fire Nation is what I didn't put in there, so I was so confused. The show promptly forgot about May, and so did Zuko. He did. Zuko mentioned Iroh every 5 minutes in capital letters, but we stan Iroh. Iroh is a fucking god, so of course he did. But only mentioned May when the plot needed her to be mentioned. I know that Zuko is a good guy, and of course he's going to feel bad for abandoning May, but the fact that he never mentioned it is so weird. That is weird. I'm making good points. I'm making stellar points. The grammar, not great. The sentence structuring could use some work, but the points, ooh. Then when May comes back at the prison episode, she's mad at Zuko for leaving, and I was like, all right, good, exclamation point. Here we go. This is a May reaction. Then she's not anymore? Question mark, question mark, question mark. She betrays Azula for Zuko? I mean, obviously, I think she should have, this is just me talking right here, I think she should have betrayed Azula anyways, to like show her autonomy from Azula, but not for Zuko. She should have done it for May, for herself, to like get out of Azula's toxic, horrible friendship behavior. Azula's my queen, but she sucks. But she's my queen. Zuko, who abandoned her and broke up with her via scroll? Question mark, question mark, question mark. May, who watched her brother get kidnapped and didn't even blink an eye, was, in capital, so moved by love to save Zuko, who broke up with her via a scroll? Question mark, question mark. I think fucking not, exclamation point. She was being used by the plot as a way to get Zuko, Sokka, and Suki out of the prison because there would have been no other way for them to get out of the prison. This is true. That's when I knew this romance was just for plot convenience, and it was done at the expense of May's character. I would have loved, in capitals, if May had left Azula, not because she's in love, but because she decided she wanted to be treated better than how Azula was treating her and Ty Lee, and then the two of them leave and go off to some small village. Now, I just literally just said that, so it looks like past me and future me, same page. Was I a May and Ty Lee shipper? Probably not, but now I can get on board. I can do this. We can do this. I'm down for it. Once more, the story doesn't mention May for the rest of the season in relation to Zuko. In fact, I don't even think we see her until she comes back in Zuko's chamber when he's getting into his Fire Lord garb. All in capitals. I wanted to kill someone when this happened. May is not a character that you can just turn into a love interest because you want the plot to turn out a certain way. Exclamation point. I'm so upset. And it just seems like it's such an oversight on the part of the writers who I know can write shit properly. Except romance. I don't think they can write romance. I really don't. I think everything else about that show is pretty good, except for the beginning of season 3. But the romances sucked. They just did. And I'm a shipper, so I noticed. Then I found out that there was supposed to be a season 4. Oh my god, I forgot about this. Instead, we got a shitty movie, and that's when I decided that I had something to prove. Oh my god, this was the intro. I'm literally in my 5th year of university, and that was my intro. Bold. Okay, now we're gonna get into, I guess, what I will do in this essay after that 3-page intro. In this essay, I will argue that the shitty way that Zuko and May were dealt with, as well as the awkwardness that was Aang and Katara, would not have happened if we'd had a season 4. Not because we would have gotten more development, but because season 4 would have allowed for the fulfillment of the ship that should have been Zuko and Katara. I completely forgot that this was what I was arguing. That's so much fun. I thought I was just gonna go on a fucking rant about how Zuko and Katara should have gotten together. But instead I had a point to make. Amazing. Good job. Let's do it. I'm so excited. That intro was a whole essay on its own. Yes. Okay, we're 4 pages in. Zuko and Katara was a ship that was hinted at in season 1. Having Zuko be in possession of her mother's betrothal necklace throughout the most, we love that spelling, we love that, throughout most of the season is definitely a plot that would be used for an enemies to lovers romance arc. Yeah, it would. On AO3. It puts a personal connection between the two characters and singles out a struggle between the two of them. It gives Katara a reason to personally hate Zuko, and it gives Zuko a vessel of Katara. Interesting point. I don't really know what I was going for, but I like the vibe. I like the energy. The thing about the beginning of an enemies to lovers plot is that you just need to lay down the foundation of hatred between the characters. Okay. Giving characters other love interests is fine when setting up this relationship dynamic, as well as because another thing about enemies to lovers is that it's meant to be kind of unexpected and part of a larger journey. That is true. In season 1, Zuko and Katara don't interact too much. There's one scene in the pirate episode where he ties Katara to a tree and he asks her to give up Aang's location. Oh my god, I remember this. I think that was the one that made me go, oh, maybe I should ship them. Yeah, so he ties Katara to a tree and he asks her to give up Aang's location. He says that he won't hurt her or Sokka, he just wants Aang, and I believe this. Mostly because I love Zuko. Though Katara may not believe this, and we as the viewer know that Katara would never give up Aang, we as the viewer also know that Zuko isn't a bad guy and he just wants Aang. He would let Katara go and give her back her necklace if he got Aang. Bit of a run-on sentence, but I see the point I'm trying to make. It's like Zuko only wanted to hurt her, he just wanted to do the bare minimum so that he could get Aang, but like he didn't care too much about like Katara and hurting Katara. It was more like collateral damage. I think I see the point there. He would just give him back the necklace, I think. He wasn't like just gonna like throw it in the ocean and be like, no, you can't have it anymore. I don't know, maybe he would if he'd like threw a tantrum. It was season 1, Zuko. When she doesn't give in to this offer, he then brings out the necklace. Oh no, wait, this is in capitals. And goes around the tree and puts it on her neck and then basically says into her ear that he'll give it back to her if she gives Aang up. That was the moment that I started shipping them. Yeah, I remember this now. I mean, I know this is a kidnapping, but the scene is just so hot. Capital letters, exclamation point. Why am I like this? The thing about Zuko and Katara is that even from the beginning they had so much sexual chemistry, whereas Katara and Aang had 0 sexual chemistry. And I'm a dirty hoe, and I go where the sexy is. Okay, I feel like I need to clarify this because, like, I know they're kids, but, like, I guess when I mean, like, sexual chemistry, I mean, like, any sort of romantic, intimate chemistry, because, like, even though they're, like, 14 and 16, they should still have that, like, attraction towards each other, which I just never felt with Katara and Aang. a friendship. I never felt, well, Aang was attracted to her, but I never felt that Katara was attracted to her. Like, Zuko was way more her type. I'm gonna get into that point later. I remember now. I bring up Jet. Jet's my nail in the coffin. I had already been shipping Zuko and Katara before this moment. Was I? Okay, well, apparently I was wrong when I just said that was the moment. Sorry. Because just the fact that he had her necklace and the potential of the relationship was enough for me. Wow. But after this moment, I was sold. And so began the most heart-wrenching of journeys. I'm so dramatic. Also, this is a betrothal necklace. So it's basically insinuating that she gives up Aang as a love interest, she can have Zuko. I am reaching, but I agree. Which I'm all for, girl. Go get that man. Was I maybe just... No, I don't really know. I was making shit up at this point. I was like reaching for the metaphor. Later on in the season, Zuko then commissions June to use her... I love June. And her fucking sniffer rat. I forgot about her. She's great. Thing to track Katara using her necklace. And there are a few things I would like to point out in this episode. Okay. Oh, yeah. First of all, June calls Katara Zuko's girlfriend not once, but twice. And that was in capitals. There is a rule in fiction, and it's the mistaken couple rule. I'm making this up, but tell me I'm wrong. And I put that in parentheses. I am making this up because I don't think it's a real rule, but I think that 9 times out of 10, this is something that happens in fiction. So I'm gonna now canonize it right now. When you have 2 characters and you want to set them up as love interests, one of the main strategies is to use the mistaken couple trope. This means that another character will mistake them as a couple. This happens multiple times throughout the series. The other thing about this trope is that the characters will always deny this, but sometimes it can be used to open a possibility for a character who was hesitant or didn't see that person in that way before. Avatar uses this twice in one episode, with June, in parentheses, the #1 Zutara shipper. Yeah, I guess she is, huh? That's why I liked her so much. I'm remembering. And I almost died each time. So dramatic. The hyperbole is insane. I was literally writing a research, like an article critique for my psych class, and I was like, this author, the hyperbole is everywhere. Like, she is making dramatic, bold claims that are meant to like scare you and to like push you in a certain way. I'm also doing that right now, so the hypocritical, right? I'm just hypocritical. If this had been done normally, then it would have been used for Zuko to look at Katara in a different way. Another thing about this episode is tracking her using her most prized possession. This is the biggest reach. Okay, let's read it. In capitals. Listen, I've read Cinderella. I have not read Cinderella. I've seen the goddamn movies and every single side Cinderella hustle. Why did I say I've read it? I haven't read that. The betrothal necklace is akin to Cinderella's shoe. Oh boy. Was I making leaps, bounds. She was jumping to conclusions off a goddamn cliff. He finds it. And yes, in this case, he is using it for a nefarious deed. But he is still using something she left behind to track her down. No wonder June thought that was his girlfriend. This is another heavily used trope. I mean, it's basically Cinderella. Yes, thank you for pointing that out again. But it's like not. But we're making some leaps here. We're trying to convince the viewer. Also, when the necklace is returned to Katara, Aang does it. But the entire time he's returning it, they are talking about Zuko. Oh, I see. Okay. Bad sentence structuring. So, the necklace is returned to Katara. Aang gives the necklace back. But they're talking about Zuko while Aang is giving the necklace back. Aang says that Zuko wanted her to have it. Katara says Zuko is so sweet and to give him a kiss the next time he sees him and kisses Aang on the cheek. Now, you could see this scene as symbolic of Aang giving back Katara the betrothal necklace as the two of them being destined to marry. But I see it in a different way. Are you surprised? it's almost kind of like a more subtle hint that Aang and Katara joke about Zuko being the one to give the betrothal necklace to Katara, as though one day he might give her one. Wait, I was onto something. It can be seen as a hint in that direction. On top of that, I would like to point out that that was by far the most chemistry I've seen Aang and Katara have all season, and you know it was because they were talking about Zuko the entire time. Am I implying that Aang is also into Zuko? I mean, maybe. If the showrunners really wanted the moment to symbolize Aang marrying Katara, why did they talk about Zuko? Question mark, question mark, question mark. This is a good point. Because it was meant to symbolize Zuko and Katara marrying. I mean, think about it. It makes sense. Does it really make sense? But I'm going to say it does. At the end of the season, Katara and Zuko have an epic fight. And I'd like to say that this is pretty much like dancing together, because fighting is dancing. Oh my god, Maya, you're trying so hard here. So hard. Also, it was just the two of them, which was an interesting choice. I think having the two of them fight for Aang while he was unconscious was an interesting parallel of where they are in their relationship. Aang is the thing keeping them apart. He's the reason they are fighting. This can be cleared up when Zuko decides to leave Aang be in their and then their conflict would end. Yes, which is another thing with enemies to lovers relationship. There's usually someone or something between them, and sometimes this is a misunderstanding, and with communication from both sides, this can be fixed. Season 1, she was making leaps. She was making bounds. She was attempting something. I respect the hustle. I do. Do I think I was exaggerating things? Oh, yes. Do I think that any of the points I made are actually what the showrunners wanted to do? Yeah, probably not. But fiction's up for interpretation. Season 2 has a fire ending, all in caps. But before we get to that beauty of an ending, let's talk about a few things that occurred before that. The Cave of Two Lovers episode, despite being mostly about Aang and Katara, was about a story of two lovers from opposite sides who created these underground tunnels in order to see each other. Then where do Zuko and Katara end up at the end of the season? In a cave together. Hold up. I really tried here. I'm not kidding. I really tried here. Like, you can tell I went through and I looked at all of these scenes and I like made parallels and shit. Like, yeah, is it a little bit insane? Yeah, no, it is. But I really tried here. The beginning of the season starts with a story of enemies to lovers, and the end of the season is those two characters having a moment in a cave. Capital letters. Whoa. Also, Zuko was having a little moment between an Earth Nation girl, and it reminded me of parallels being drawn between Zuko and Katara. Anyways, yes, I know this episode was a big deal for Aang and Katara, but I chose to see it differently. So yeah. Yeah, I did. I really did. Later on in season 2, when they all meet at the deserted Old West town to fight Azula. Ooh, that was a good scene. First of all, such a good foreshadow. Second of all, Katara, after seeing Iroh hurt, genuinely tries to help and seems concerned. She offers multiple times, and though Zuko is to her to take the help, I thought it was an absolutely adorable moment, and I think it would have been a nice parallel to have come up later on, and I guess it kind of does with Katara healing Zuko at the end of the 3rd season. Katara is the one who sees Zuko and Ba Sing Se first. She's left all alone and stumbles upon the tea shop and notices him. Then later on is just the most amazing, all in caps, scene ever. Exclamation point. Yeah. In the history of all television. I mean, I say that about like a lot of scenes, so I don't even know what the most amazing scene is. Honestly, for me, I think one of the best scenes ever is, and I'm not just saying this with exaggeration, it's the Inej and Kaz bathroom scene in Crooked Kingdom. I love that scene. I think that scene is just phenomenal. I think it's like on so many levels just amazing for both character arcs as well as the relationship together. I think it's one of the best scenes. So I'm actually going to say that that's the best scene. Genuinely though, I don't believe this. This is just me in the moment. But like overall, overarching, if I were to actually pick a scene, it would be that Kaz and Inej bathroom scene. Anyways, So then I say, in the history of all television, I mean, this is a bit of an exaggeration, but you get the point. It is an exaggeration, Maya. It's a great scene, but you're absolutely exaggerating right now. Putting Katara and Zuko in a cave together as prisoners was a bold move on the part of the showrunners, and I approve wholeheartedly. Of course I do. Of course I do. They could have put any of the gang, you know what I mean, into the cave with Zuko. They chose Katara though. Exclamation point. I mean, no choice goes without thought into it. On top of that, they have just such an amazing talk in the cave. Katara yells at I love myself sometimes. Like, I'm so dramatic. Like, I'm like, Katara, I'm like, they have an amazing talk. And then the next line is, Katara yells at him. I just want the drama. Katara yells at him and Zuko just takes it. He apologizes and says he's not that person anymore. They share their tragic backstories and Katara grows to trust him. They then just have such a phenomenal, in all caps, scene where Zuko is talking about a scar and Katara is standing so close to him they could kiss at any moment. I could tell you right now as a female, I can attest to the fact that Katara wanted to kiss Zuko in that moment. I mean, if I attest to it, it must be true. Katara offers to use her super special healing water on Zuko's scar. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. I actually really love this scene. Like, that one part is so good. In all caps. Katara, who 5 minutes ago was anti-Zuko, after spending some time with him, is willing to give up her most powerful position for him. Then she strokes his cheek, and they are rudely interrupted by Iroh and Aang, there to save them. They were rudely interrupted. I wanted that scene to go on. A few things to note here. She was gently caressing his scar. I have never seen any other person, not even Iroh, touch Zuko's scar. Actually, I'm making good points here. Another thing, Iroh has been bugging Zuko this season to get a girlfriend. And in that same season where Zuko is a peak good boy, before he goes back to the Fire Nation, he's confused, beautiful boy. He's able to get Katara. I mean, come on. I mean, come fucking on. Also, Aang bangs through the wall and he sees Zuko and Katara in that position. You know the cheek stroking position? Almost about to kiss position? Katara defends Zuko, saying that he's changed. I want to cry. It's so beautiful. I'm so dramatic. In fact, I almost teared up just writing that. I probably did almost tear up just writing that. I'm so dramatic. My emotions when it comes to fiction, off the fucking rails. Someone needs to help me. Like, I don't care about the real world this much. I care about fictional characters so much. Aang has been up until this point very pro Zuko. Well, as pro Zuko as he can be with Zuko trying to capture him. But Aang has saved Zuko's life and he's been decently nice to Zuko, all things considered, and it's not in Aang's nature to hate people. But Aang is not having Zuko in that moment. And it's because of his love for Katara. Yeah, no, this is all correct. Now, of course, Zuko ends up betraying them. But I like to talk about the cute scene where Zuko arrives in battle and Katara gives him the sleeps look of faith. And yes, Zuko metaphorically slaps her in the face after that. It's still adorable. Shit, I'm sticking to my guns here. Another quick note before we go into season 3 and the actual point of this essay. As soon as Zuko betrays Katara, and yes, it's only Katara that he betrays in that moment. He betrayed Iroh back in the Crystal Cave. Also, a crystal cave. Come on, there's nothing sexier than that. Okay, there's many things sexier than a crystal cave. What was I thinking? I do have a thing for caves, but like, that's a little bit crazy to say that. She kind of bounces back to Aang, almost like she's forcing herself to be with Aang because he seemed like the right choice. I don't know, the quick contrast really threw me for a loop. Actually, I can see that. Oh my god, my Jet side note. Yes, okay, here we go. A quick side note about Jet. Katara meets Jet in season 1 and is immediately enamored by him. But then he betrays her trust and she gets super mad and freezes him to a tree. When Jet comes back in season 2, she's vehemently against him and doesn't believe that he's changed. She feels so upset because she trusted him and, let's admit it, really liked him romantically. And then when Jet proves himself to Katara that he has truly changed, she goes back to liking him. I would argue that up until the point where Jet dies, Katara was back to having a crush on Jet. I mean, yeah, probably. I mean, that's how she was acting. Now, I like to call Jet poor man Zuko. I do. I didn't remember that I did that until like right now. But yeah, I did do that. Because he actually has a similar arc to Zuko. He is the first mini redemption arc before the main one. So if Jet is portrayed as Katara's love interest and he's so similar to Zuko in many ways, then you can't tell me that wasn't a parallel, because the exact same thing happens with Zuko in season 3. You know, that may be the best point I've made. And the arguments about the cave. And my beginning remarks about May. There were some ups and downs in this essay. Season 3 starts off with the narrative pushing down my throat 2 ships that I don't like and giving me a tirade of useless and admittedly bad episodes. After Aang and Katara kiss on the boat before the battle and it's never mentioned again, I was like, maybe that means something. Anyway, Zuko joining the group was godsend for Zutara. I mean, it was. First off, remember how unnecessarily mad Katara was at Jet, a guy she liked who betrayed her? Well, welcome to part 2. Being mad at Zuko and not believing he's changed. There's this sexy scene. What is wrong with me? I really need to stop describing scenes as sexy. It's not great. It's not great. They're okay, they're fictional cartoon characters, so I'm not shipping real kids, but I need to stop. There's this sexy scene where she gets up in his face and tells him she doesn't trust him and that she's not fooled. It doesn't sound sexy when I describe it like that, but trust me, they are so close to kissing and she's in his personal space. Yeah, I remember that scene. She was right up in there. Katara then continues to be apprehensive to Zuko until we get the most amazing episode to ever exist ever. Oh, this is an exaggeration again, but it made my heart sore. I have never been so happy. That episode did make my heart sore. I liked all the field trip episodes, but I like the Zutara one. I really liked Aang and Zuko one. I also really liked Zuko and Sokka's one too. I liked all of them. This episode was phenomenal. Basically, Zuko wants to get Katara to like him like everyone else. They have this talk in front of a romantic sunset where Katara says she was the first to trust him and then he betrayed her and that's why she's so mad. I was right. This is a few things. First of all, she was feeling Zuko so hard in that moment that she's still mad about it. Yeah, that's right. I said it and I'm correct. Another thing is, this fits into the established pattern of Katara feeling betrayed by guys she likes, and then when they come around and change, she has a hard time letting them in again because of how hurt she was the first time. I've already kind of said this, but I'm just going to say it again for dramatic point, to make my point, Then Zuko goes to great lengths to get her to like him. May has not been mentioned in episodes, and I don't even know what they are doing with Aang and Katara at this point. That's true. He goes and talks to Sokka, who is in a suggestive position when he enters the tent because he was expecting Suki. Oh, I remember that. He'll make a flower in his mouth. Now, let me tell you something. Having a conversation where they talk about Katara and getting Katara to like Zuko, start with Sokka getting ready for sexy times, has so much suggestive undertones. I am correct. I see nothing wrong with my statement. Then Zuko sits outside of Katara's tent all night. I forgot about that. Come on, guys. He sits out all night, waiting for her to wake up because he has information about who killed her mother. Guys. This is a parallel with Iroh and how he waits at the foot of his bed when he goes to see him again and apologizes for the wrongs. Oh, that was such a cute scene. He's done to him. Okay, capitals. So you are making parallels between Iroh, the person that Zuko loves and trusts the most in the entire world, and Katara. You expect me not to notice? Well, I did. They then go on a field trip together, and their whole ride on Appa is set onto this beautiful romantic sunset vibe. Actually, yeah, I want to say that the vibe in that episode, I remember being like super sunset-y and like kind of like romantic in a way for some reason. Probably for me. They do wear matching outfits. Oh, it's coming back to me. And fight together, and it's beautiful. It is beautiful. Coordinated fighting in matching outfits sends me. It sends me right now as I'm remembering it. I can't believe I get to live in a world where that happened. And it wasn't a fanfic, Yeah, I'm very proud to live in that world right now. Thank you for giving me a reason to live further Zuko and Katara essay. They spend the entire episode together. Once realizing they had the wrong person, they went to go track down the right guy. Every time that Katara does some cool water bending trick or blood bends, Zuko just looks so in awe of her abilities, and it's so beautiful to watch. Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, that's really cute. At the end of the episode, when Katara realizes she doesn't want revenge this way and decides to leave the guy in peace, Zuko just willingly follows. He's only there to do what she wants, and it's absolutely adorable. Another thing about this episode is the contrast between Katara choosing Aang's method over Zuko's. I know at the end she ends up showing mercy like Aang cautioned, but the way she went with Zuko and the way Zuko was like, shut up, Aang. Let Katara do what she needs to do was like boyfriend energy. It was. At the end of the episode, Katara hugs Zuko for giving her the closure she needed, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Aang is right there. And she's like, no, Zuko. I must hug Zuko. Respect. No one else has hugged Zuko in the group, and I bet you Aang would love to. That is so true. Aang would love to hug Zuko. But like, it feels like such a turning point in the rest of the story. For the rest of the season, they are married. I believe this to this day. I will fight anyone who tells me otherwise. I'm kidding, you know. I'm just kidding. Like, straight up, they sit next to each other in every scene. They look at each other for input. They agree with each other on things. It's actually so pure and wholesome at this point. I stopped caring about Katara and thought that the showrunners had as well. I really did, actually. I remember because my best friends had, like, seen, or at least one of them had seen the entire show, and I kept kind of believing that she'd, like, lied to me about Zuko and Katara not getting together. And the closer we got to the end, I was like, they must be lying. They're lying to me, like, throw me off the scent. They weren't. And I was so confused. Which brings me to our next big episode, which is the Ember Island Players. First of all, the fact that the Fire Nation interpreted Zuko and Katara as a love story was just amazing. I forgot about that. And again, this is another example of the mistaken couple. And yes, they are allowed to act awkward about it. That's the point. They do act awkward about it, but I mean, they got the cave scene 100% correct. They did not, but they got the cave scene that Maya saw 100% correct. Another thing that was in this episode was Zuko coming between Aang and Katara. Aang wanted to sit next to Katara, but Zuko sat there instead and refused to move, and Katara didn't seem to care one bit. Yeah, that's right, because he wanted to sit next to Zuko. He's so much more superior. Then there's a scene where, honestly, it felt like Aang and Katara broke up, though they were never together. Yeah, I actually thought that after Ember's Island Player, like, it was legitimately the end of them. And it was not. So I felt blindsided. When Aang confronts Katara about how she feels about him, she says she doesn't know, and Aang says they kissed and nothing happened after that, and then he kisses Katara without her permission, and she gets mad at him and stomps off. This, to me, felt like the end of their relationship. But that was just me, I guess, because it wasn't. But what I wanted to point out about this is that this breakup was presented in the episode where they hinted the most at Zuko and Katara and had canonically addressed it. Then Aang disappears for a while, and we get Zuko reuniting with Iroh, one of the most beautiful scenes ever. When they are all sitting around and talking about what they needed to do, they decide to split up, and Katara, who has usually been 100% by Aang's side, does not hesitate to go with Zuko when he asks. Oh, I love that scene. I remember when the first time I watched it, I was sitting down, and I was like, you know, Zuko, say you want to go with Katara. Say it. And they did, and I was like, oh. Oh. It feels like such a powerful moment, because it is. Zuko learning to trust her, unlike when he didn't before back in season 2, when she would have been able to heal Iroh. The sentence structuring, not good, but I think the point is, like, he didn't trust her back in season 2 when Iroh needed to be healed, but now he does trust her to, like, be his right hand man when going up against Azula. For honestly, probably one of the best scenes in cinematic history is actually the Agni Kai. This coming off of the Aang and Katara breakup and May not being mentioned for a hot minute had me thinking maybe I was lied to by Casey and Dana. Okay, that's my best friends. Maybe Katara and Zuko is actually endgame. Anyways, the way this scene plays out is actually the sweetest thing ever. Iroh says to Zuko that he can't do it alone, and Zuko agrees, and he could have asked Toph, who is just as powerful, if not more, than Katara, but he, without hesitation, asks Katara to go with him, and she immediately says yes. Once again, we get alone time before the two of them as they go off to face Azula together. Another thing I'd like to point out is that Zuko and Azula end up doing an Agni Kai, and though Katara is necessary at the end of the battle, she was not actually necessary to be there, except to be a reactionary person to Zuko getting hurt. Let me explain. They show up to face Azula, married, capital letters. This is true. And I can't explain that in any other way and won't even try to. Zuko and Azula are in the middle of their Agni Kai. Such an amazing scene. And Katara appears to the side and is scared for Zuko's life. And Azula notices her and then shoots her lightning at Katara. Zuko then proceeds to jump in front of the lightning, taking the hit for Katara. Straight out of a fanfic, in all caps, is correct. Katara then runs to try to help Zuko. Azula attacks her and they fight. Katara ends up taking down Azula and goes to heal Zuko, touching his bare chest, crying out his name. Straight out of a fanfic, all capitals. Once healed, they both stand to look at the shrieking Azula. It's such a powerful moment. But also, Katara is just casually holding onto Zuko's arm as he watches his sister writhing in chains. This whole sequence feels like two lovers facing Azula, and if you were to show this to someone who knew nothing about the show, that's exactly what they would guess. Then the show does a complete 180, and we are back with Mai and Zuko and Katara and Aang. Now that we've seen all the evidence as to why the showrunners clearly made decisions that would have facilitated an enemies to lovers relationship between Zuko and Katara, my argument is that if we had gotten a fourth season where it was all about Zuko and the gang getting ready to face the Fire Lord, Zuko and Katara would have ended up together. Mostly because the second out of the third season focused so hard on Zuko and Katara that it's almost shocking to see the other ships trying to fight for screen time. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Like, am I making some wild hyperbole happen right now? Yeah, but this is a fair point. I think that they had intended to do Zuko and Katara, and that's why many of the elements stayed in. But because they had a shortage of time to truly develop Katara and Zuko like they wanted to, while also closing off the other ships, they had opened satisfactorily. They went with what they had, which is why Mai and Zuko feels rushed and off-putting because it was never meant to be Endgame, which is why they desecrated Mai's character to fit the plot and become a love interest. This was a bad idea. Another thing is that that's why the focus seems to bounce so much when it comes to Aang and Katara. Ever since season 1, there has been this shift in episodes that focus on Aang and Katara, and then episodes that just completely forget about their existence. And this is particularly prevalent in season 3, which is not the way it should have been. If Aang and Katara were the intended endgame, then why did we spend so much screen time with Zuko and Katara? Why did the show conveniently forget about Aang and Katara half the time? Why did all the episodes leading up to them becoming endgame not even feature them interacting until it was time for them to become endgame? The ending was good when it came to Zuko and Aang and those moments, but the ending to me always felt very awkward and weird considering where we had left the characters before the last 10 minutes. Honestly, I just think that they had a plan, but then due to time, they had to back out, produce this weird rush mixture of what they originally intended and what they had to do to wrap up the show. And the evidence is in the treatment of Zuko and Katara themselves, but also the treatment of their alternative ships. The end. This was an interesting essay because I actually think that I made some good points. Like, I actually think I was onto something here. And I do think that, like, I was able to show all the evidence that led to them wanting to do an enemies to lover and how their arc went across and, like, parallels with other characters and their relationships and how the other ships were treated. But oh my god, some leaps and bounds were made. The Cinderella comment, that I was really trying. It is what it is. But honestly though, I'm glad I reread that because it brought back the feelings of the Zuko and Katara. I felt very betrayed. I don't think to the extent that I now know I can be betrayed by a TV show when it comes to a ship, but it was like a starting point. I really think that Avatar was an absolutely great show, and at the end of the day, the ships are not what make the show like worthwhile. it's the character arcs, and like Zuko's character arc in particular, no matter who he ended up with, whether it be May or Katara, was still so well done. So like at the end of the day, who really cares? I was looking for the romance, found the romance, I found the wrong romance, shipped way too hard, potentially got baited. It's a little bit debatable, honestly. But yeah, I really think I'm onto something here. And I'm glad I reread this essay. So I guess that's it. That's all I really had to say. I just kind of saw it and I was like, I wrote that. I remember writing that. I don't remember what it was about. Maybe I should, do something with that essay. Because, I mean, honestly, right now, I'm kind of out of an Avatar phase. I am. But if I ever rewatch, maybe I'll do some videos on it, because I think Avatar is great. But also, I mean, every single Avatar video has ever been done under the sun, because it's such a popular video idea. So, yeah, but, you know, every single Supernatural video has probably been done too, so here I am. I'll make what I want to make. If I ever rewatch it, I'll definitely do something on Avatar, but maybe not for a while. My TV watching, you know, I wrote an extremely long D&D this past like week and a half, and it took up all my time. Like literally all my free time. So yeah, what's the point I'm trying to make? Avatar creators, if we had gotten a season 4, would you have given me Zuko and Katara? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Alright, yeah, that's everything. If you have any interest in any of the other videos on my channel, you can go watch them or not. And thank you for watching. Have a good day. Bye.